Hello, friends. Thank you for being here so much. This is Mason Proctor, and this is his grad defense, final exhibition with TCS. We've had Mason for 4 years. Real excited to hear what he's going to say. We're actually going to begin by quickly running down the row. Just ask you to say who you are, who you're with, anything else you'd like to tell us. Then we're going to hand it over to Mason. He's going to do his thing. Then there'll be plenty of time left over for questions from the panel, and we'll open up to the room as a whole. Awesome. Would you mind starting with us?
Hello, I'm Kristen Whitaker. I'm a director for Spokane Public Schools.
Hi Mason, I'm Michael Dunn. I'm a retired superintendent. I teach at Washington State University and work as a consultant.
Awesome.
Hi Mason, I'm Stacy Ott. I work at World Relief. We do refugee resettlement and we've done a refugee simulation at the community school before.
Hi Mason, I'm Rebecca Levine. I'm an HR specialist at Spokane Public Schools.
Hi Mason, I'm Jackie Branch and I'm also an HR specialist at Spokane Public Schools.
Awesome. I'm Mason Proctor, as you guys know, and I'm graduating from the community school. Right now, I know with full clarity that I'm meant to pursue a career in design, a blend of textiles, drawing, fashion, and visual storytelling. I've set up a plan to continue my journey in these passions, and every step of my life has brought me here so far. And I'd like to tell you guys how I figured that out. I've been drawing since the first grade, and back then I didn't call it art, I just called it fun. I was always the kid with pencil in hand, drawing characters and patterns. And some of those drawings are packed into an old folder that I'll be showing with you guys today. I drew this one at, a lot of these were drawn at Spokane Art Supply when I was younger, before I had moved around. I'll just put a couple of these up for you guys to look at. Little house I had drawn. Just some early sketches. As I grew older, my interest to art didn't fade, it evolved. As I moved around the world due to my dad's job, two passions stuck with me throughout my life: art and skateboarding. I believe the culture that came with skateboarding developed my passion into something I deeply resigned with. I saw a look into the profession of two hobbies that were labeled as troubling throughout my life, from skate films, magazines, to graphics on skate decks and clothing. Specifically in Okinawa, Japan, I found myself really getting interested in combining these passions. Me and my good friends would draw designs for a little skate group we had made. Cooper and Adler would work with their dad to screen press the designs we designed, and we would cut the letters for our group into our skateboard grip tape. We even created music videos and diss tracks for each other as a joke. I remember and with that push from those around me, I moved from pencil sketches to digital drawings, and from digital art to editing videos, from drawing characters to designing outfits. But it didn't come that fast. As I moved back to Spokane, Washington, away from such an amazing friend group, I found myself practicing my hobbies alone. For the first time in my life, I found myself with no push from others around me to evolve what I had been working on. And this was an extremely hard change in my life. But I had to adapt. And out of what I assume was pure chance, I found myself, I found myself in a niche group of skaters and graffiti artists through social media. In that moment, my passion to learn a new form of art skyrocketed, and I started practicing lettering. I had been on-base schools and public schools since I first left Spokane, and I never realized how badly I needed to be in an alternative school until I went to Sacagawea. I'm sure that COVID affected the curriculum that year, but I just didn't learn much, and I really wanted to learn, and I needed a school that would appreciate my interests and prepare me to create a career out of it, regardless of how niche it was. I had no plans on letting school stop my grind. I'd come to TCS in search of a school that would match my learning style, and as well as in search for others my age that were into the same interests as me. I've always been that crazy kid with ADHD, always in his own little world, as I drew or talked to my friends when I wasn't supposed to. I found that TCS was ready for me to be like that, for me to be me. And I knew that it was a right fit for me, so I enrolled. Freshman year, I was still figuring out how to translate my passion into something real. I was sketching consistently and experimenting with basic video editing. These were some of my first sketches freshman year. Yeah. I had joined the graphic design class at TCS, and I realized that graphic design could so realistically be applied in my career, and it pushed me to get better. I began learning not just how to draw, but why we draw the things the way we do, and specifically in textography. TCS didn't focus on these things directly, but it encouraged me to continue bettering myself, how to act in group settings, how to enter the real world with confidence, and how I can properly contribute to a workspace. Sophomore year was when I started really getting into the idea of making clothes. I created a website called Enche. That's a poster I made for an advisory project where I planned to start my first business making and selling clothes. I picked up a can of fabric spray paint and I put my skills to use. And looking back, I wouldn't wear these shirts, but a teacher at our school named Matthew, he bought one, and that totally motivated me. It was truly a start to my passion for making and selling clothing, and it was a way of self-expression that sat with me well. This wasn't just creative play, it was me building a visual language. I began drawing with more purpose, creating characters and outfits that could live in a real world. I wanted everyone at school to wear my clothes. Speaking back on the graphic design class, these are some of the first graphics I did in that class, and here's my drawing starting to stack up. Junior year was a huge turning point for me because I had applied for the graphic design class at New Tech Skill Center, where I had the opportunity to get certifications in Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. I spent half my day working on exactly what I wanted to work on, art and design. I learned everything I wanted to know about how design works. There are rules to design, but once you figure them out, you can develop your own style. I learned how to use screen presses and export or design files to print correctly onto shirts. I learned how to put designs on mugs, pins, how to create labels, sticker packs, and book labels. I started to fall in love with the idea of becoming a graphic designer. I loved to design and I loved to draw, but I knew something was missing. Sure, I was able to screen press shirts as a graphic designer, but I wanted more than that. I wanted to learn how to make clothing, not just have a cool design on it, but more importantly, I wanted the clothing to fit me in a certain way and to have cool textures on them. Graphic design was not the right field for me. I took a trip to check out some colleges, and originally I was leaning towards UW, until I checked out the textiles program at WSU. My dreams honestly came true when I saw that room because it was just completely hands-on graphic design and making clothes and advertising. It was exactly what I had already been working on, and it just totally lit me up. I was so happy. Now in senior year, I'm working on combining everything I've learned. I've been in the video productions class at New Tech, where I've continued gaining my certifications. I now have a certification in Premiere Pro. I've been creating full brand concepts, designs, promotional videos, digital illustrations, and clothing examples. This is a shirt that I made this year. I'm pretty proud of that one. I've also been building a personal portfolio that I'll carry with me into WSU and beyond. This year I've had some really special opportunities like designing the New Tech Film Festival poster, And I also had the opportunity to show off my art piece in the City Hall. I got to display this one in the City Hall. I've also had some failures, designs that didn't come out right, deadlines I couldn't meet, but at the end of the day, it always made me better. I learned time management, problem-solving skills, and how to take feedback without losing motivation. And outside of the classroom, it wasn't just school that helped me grow. I've done some designs for local friends and events. I designed this for my friend's band. And I even have a mural planned at Brooks Skate Shop on Sprague. These experiences showed me how creativity connects people and how design is more than just how something looks. Next fall, I'll be studying textile and apparel design at Washington State University. I chose WSU because they offer an approach that combines fashion, design, and technology. It's the perfect place to expand what I've already started. In the next 1 to 2 years, I plan to build a professional portfolio, learn textile production skills, start networking in the industry, and maybe intern for a clothing or design company as a student. In the next 10 years, I'm not sure what I'll have set up, but I know that I'm confident that I'll be successful as an artist and have a job that I enjoy. So after 12 years of education, I see that I'm not just meant to be a fashion designer or a video editor or a graphic designer. I'm meant to be all of them at once. My creative voice blends all these mediums, and I'm taking that voice with me to WSU and beyond. Thank you for being a part of this journey.
Let's open it up for questions and comments from him.
Well, Mason, I'll start. First of all, that was wonderfully done.
Thank you.
Wonderful to hear from a young man who started drawing in first grade for fun and who maintained that passion and developed it along the way. You said something toward the end about creativity connects people, and I agree with that, and we need connection more today than at any time in my many years on the planet, so thank you for doing that. And as a WSU alum and professor, thank you for choosing Washington State University.
Of course.
We're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your picking WSU.
Thank you.
And yeah, I was really impressed with your presentation. The fact that you've done that since you were in first grade and kept it going and evolved, that is wonderful. A lot of kids don't know what they want to do that early. But what I was going to ask you about is, you said that you had moved all around the world.
Yeah,
What was your favorite place that you lived at?
definitely Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah.
But I also, I liked everywhere we lived, honestly.
Mhm.
It was all amazing. It was a great life experience.
And then also, you talked about the important life skills that you've learned, or the lessons that you've learned. You will be able to use those in any type of position you're at, like your important skills like time management you mentioned.
Yep.
And those will be important for the rest. Anywhere you're at, those are all going to be useful, so.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Yes, and yeah, very impressive.
Thank you.
And your artwork is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. I can see the journey that you've taken, and I just commend you for not kind of starting over, but veering down one path or another path and how interconnected everything is, because that'll serve you well in life, for sure. That everything is kind of like adding to the resume or the portfolio of who is you and what your occupation is and what your life is. I also see that you have both creative activities or creative examples that you've shown, and also examples that were either commissioned or part of a school project. And so tell me a little bit more about, maybe just tell us a little bit about how those come to be. Are you part of a class and then they're asking you to take on projects? How did you seek the projects to get some examples for your portfolio?
Totally. So, We'll start with just some out-of-school ones. I guess this was in school, but it didn't come to me through a class because my teacher actually, it's the first film fest that's going on in New Tech, and apparently they're going to start having the graphic design class do that, but Keith just walked up to me, he's our teacher at Video Productions, and he was like, Mason, you do graphic design, make this for me. So I was like, okay. Same goes for this. My friend Shaden, he's in a band. He just was mentioning that he didn't really like the flyer that the designer beforehand had made, and he just wanted me to make another one. It wasn't used, but those were definitely more of just me kind of messing around and just me having fun, kind of me drawing. But then there were some things like this, for example. This was part of a project called Art Romances and Molecular Dances. And it's an art piece that's supposed to show my struggles with ADHD. And that was a whole project. And that's how I ended up getting it to be shown in the City Hall. And that was awesome. And then a lot of these other things, this was a project, this was a project, this was a project. Same with this was a TCS project. Most of the graphic design projects were done in my graphic design class. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, the mural that I have planned at Broke Skate, I was able to do that through community connections and just kind of knowing a lot of the people who own the shop and showing them my art, so.
Well, good job. I hope that continues.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then just a couple of things I wrote down here. I really, through your speech, I really admire your ability to know what's good for you. I think that actually shows a lot of future success, because even you talked about being at Sacagawea and knowing that that may not be the right path for you, so then you advocated to go to New Tech and to go to TCS to kind of find what's right for you. Also, I just want to commend you on being extremely articulate. That was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
And then my other question was on the City Hall, the one that you showed before, is that the same character that's on the, if you go back to that slide, is that the same character that's on the left there?
Yes.
Is that a reoccurring character?
I just kind of do that character, yeah. It's super inspired off of this like music group that had a little alien character, and I don't know, it's fun to draw.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, with music, skateboarding, all that stuff, it seems like it, yeah, heavily influences all of your art style, which is
Totally.
very, very cool, very good eye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you speak very well, and your presentation was really well put together, and it was great to hear the history of your life and how it culminated to your future plans. So yeah, just well done, and congratulations on what you're going to do.
Thank you.
I always have lots of questions. I have a few that I'll ask. I've written down, but I'm going back to skateboarding. I'm really curious how that culture, so I want to tie it into, you have definitely your own style, and you've probably come into that, and maybe even, I don't want to assume, but I know a lot of artists like struggle with like being influenced by others and then just really going into your own style. Tie that with skateboarding. I would love to hear. I have a son that loves skateboarding, and he talks about the culture of it, and
Awesome.
something that it really encourages him, I think, to follow his own path. So yeah, I would love to hear about how skateboarding tied into that a little bit more.
So, I got into skateboarding around the same time I got into drawing, honestly. I've always been really into it. And at first it was just like a little sport that I did. I would just ride my skateboard. And as I got older, I had friends around me who were also into it. And they would show me like a skate video, like of these professional skaters, and Thrasher magazine. And I started to realize that it wasn't just skateboarding itself that was a part of skateboarding. It was also like there were full productions going into these skate videos, and there were people who didn't even skate helping produce those videos. And same goes with like the graphics on the skate decks, and the people that would design the magazines for them. A lot of them didn't skate. A lot of them did also skate, but I think that eventually I just kind of realized, like, I don't have to be a pro skater to that was my first thought. It was kind of, I realized at one point I wasn't going to become a pro skater because there's people who were better than me, but I wanted to, like, make my career skating related, so I was like, oh, well, I could design a magazine, or I could do those things. And then I kind of just started realizing, like, oh, I don't need to even fully just do skateboard magazines, or I don't know. It just totally inspired me and opened up this whole new realm of a way of looking at skating for me. And I hope that helped answer your question.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's open it up to the room. Proud parent here. Just branching off that last question, I know I've learned at least a little bit about the whole underground world with, say, graffiti, as we travel around to Seattle or wherever else, and there's national, international, well, that's so-and-so from wherever.
Yeah.
One thing you did is you brought all that back to an editorial piece that went in the Spokesman Review. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because it was kind of showed, like, your enjoyment of street art, but the restrictions within Spokane.
Yeah, so I had posted a message to the editor, or I sent it in to Spokesman Review, and it was basically, I had an idea that maybe the graffiti problem in Spokane could be reduced and more culture could be brought into it if we opened up a legal space for graffiti to be done. Because there's no legal space for people to do graffiti in Spokane. And I figured that maybe if we opened up a legal wall, a bunch of artists could come together and mural together, do graffiti together, and it could kind of eliminate the negative view of graffiti that I think has naturally become a thing. And yeah.
Did you say your article was universally well received by the community?
No, it was
Oh,
not.
weird. Say more.
Yeah, so there was I don't remember his name actually, but there was a guy who, he didn't do research about who I was before doing this, but he, like, posted an email with a bunch of people on it, basically saying, he took my message wrong, and he thought that I was saying, we should legalize graffiti and everyone should vandalize around Spokane. And that ended up causing more traction to the story, and Spokesman Review added me into another article. Didn't, like, mention my name because I told them I didn't really want to be a part of it more, but they mentioned that the guy, whoever his name was, he was, like, making fun of a high school student for trying to make Spokane better. That was a whole thing. That was pretty crazy, but it did feel pretty good to knowing that my message, like, caused that much of a stir, and yeah.
So hearing your parents, that's great. I also had a question about your parents. Have you always had your parents' support in your art?
Absolutely. I mentioned in this that I didn't have help from those around me to continue that passion, but I more just meant I didn't have friends around me to help continue that passion. But absolutely, my parents have always been here helping me do what I want to do, and they've 100% taught me how to do it in a way that's possible instead of me just being outside all day skating and drawing on things or something. Like, they've shown me a professional path to get my interest into a career. So definitely.
That's really cool. As a comment on that is a lot of people will be like, oh, that's great, you love art, but what are you going to do to make a living?
Yeah.
And so that's awesome that you've had their support
Heck yeah.
through the whole thing and helping funnel that to making a living as well.
Thank you.
So you can say, I have art, and here's how I'm gonna make a living.
Exactly, yeah.
So I just am so impressed by your maturity and your confidence and your articulate presentation. I just really appreciated that. And as a proud WSU grad, I'm glad you chose that. Can you speak a little more? You mentioned fashion and you said you like the idea of the fashion and technology. What is your brain thinking about the future?
I never really thought that I would full on like make clothes as a career, because like I said, I was really looking, I was looking to continue my my graphic design skills out of college, and I kind of realized while I was checking colleges out that it's a very people will fight to get into graphic design, and I didn't really want that. I wanted some security in what I could do in my future. I didn't want to have to like fight other artists to get that place. And when I went into the textiles class, I didn't even know what textiles was. So anyone in here who doesn't know what textiles is, it's basically just making clothes. It could be from the material used on a firefighter jacket to making some baggy pants. So I think that it just, I've always kind of been into making clothes because I created the N-Shape business sophomore year. And it kind of just reignited my passion for that because I realized like, oh, I could do this. It's also graphic design. It's also advertising, and I learned a lot of those skills in graphic design and video productions. And I love clothes. I've always been really into fashion. I've always worn kind of out there clothes. And yeah.
Well, Mason, we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you. All right, friends, we have 15 minutes until the next one. This will be